It's now time for Cooking with Crystal, presented by Jeff Crystal Catering.
Hi, today we're going to talk about venison round steak. Not every piece of venison is made for grilling, but some of them you can sort of doctor up in a way that it'll work. On the venison round steak, it is a tougher cut of meat, usually that we use it in the restaurant business with beef as a roasting product. When it's cut like this, some easy techniques that you can do to make it a little more tender is take a fork and just gently pierce it. Then we're going to make a marinade. Now in your marinade, you got to remember that the components, you need some kind of oil, you need some kind of acid, and then your seasoning. Everything else can be adjusted to your liking, what's in there. If you like rosemary, fresh rosemary, that works excellent. There's a lot of different things we can add, but what you want to do, the rule of thumb is about an inch an hour you need to marinate for, or you can do it overnight. If you over marinate too long, the meat will get a woody consistency of it. The acid starts to break down the meats too much. What we're going to do for this recipe is you're going to need about 1/8 of a cup of Jameson Irish whiskey, a little bit of Jeffrey seasoning crystals, a little bit of hot sauce, a splash of Worcestershire, some fresh garlic, black pepper, and the olive oil and kosher salt. Is add the Worcestershire, splash a little whiskey over, and the hot sauce. So right now that's very thin, the acid's working in the meats. We'll move it around a touch. Now we're going to add some Jeffrey seasoning crystals, some fresh cracked pepper, pinch of kosher salt. Now I know some people are saying, Jeff, everybody's always said when you put salt into a marinade it dries the meat out. We're not going to marinate this product that long. So for a short minutes, for 45 minutes of marination, I don't think that the benefit is better than it is worse for the marination at this point. You might have some drawn out moisture, but the salt will also help break down the meat and just add flavor to it. Now we're just going to cover all that up with a splash of olive oil. Now you can cover that, let that sit for about an hour, and then give it a grill. And anytime you're grilling meats like this, you want a hot flame first. It'll sear the outside of the meat and cauterize it. No more juices will escape from that point. If you put it on a low heat, it sort of bleeds out right on your grill. So what we do with the oil is make sure there's plenty of oil on there so we get a nice hot flame right at the introduction of cooking. Sears it, keeps the juices in. We'll just need a little bit of Jeffrey seasoning crystals to finish this. Now you have your marinated steak. We're gonna take and lay him on, and don't worry about the flame up. It'll burn off very quickly. And remember, the key to cooking steaks on a grill is do it hot at first. You could have a warmer side, a cooler side, off to your side, one side of the grill that you could, after you sear it, move it off to if you like yours, depending on how you like your meats done. If you take your arm and press your finger against your arm, this would be well done, that'd be about medium, and the top of your arm would be rare. The more squishiness that's in the meat, that's the rarer it is. We're going to take and move it to make our marks at 45. We'll put a little bit more Jeffrey seasoning crystals. What that does is what you have going on now is the layering of flavors. You had your marination, the same seasoning you use in your marinade won't taste the same as the seasoning you're putting on at the end. It's going to be cooked, the acids affect the seasoning, so the end coating will be a little bit different. And a lot of time if you get a curl on that like that, just take a knife and give what it is, there's a little bit of fat right there, and that'll open up for you if you just cut that little piece. Now when we're done cooking this, what we'll talk about is a little about recirculation. Anytime you take meat off a grill, always leave it sit for about 10 minutes in a warm spot. What that does is let the blood bloom back out into the product. So if you have a medium and you pull it off right away and you cut it, all those, the center would be concentrated red. After you leave it set, it'll bloom back out and make a beautiful steak. You don't rush it, it sort of relaxes the meat some. And then after, we'll just finish it with a dollop of whole butter and let that melt over. Now, you can see the steak starting to sweat out. It takes about 15 minutes, and then we'll let it sit. Now, what also happens as this recirculates and the butter melts, this makes some of the best natural sauces to dip bread into. Doesn't get any better than that.
Whew, oh man.
Rob, I grabbed a couple of things that I need for today.
I tell you, I did all right then. Even down to the favorite thing that you love to use.
There you go.
Your bobbers.
That'll go good with my new hat. Well, we had a great show today. I hope you enjoyed the show. We learned an awful lot about hawks now, as they're fascinating creatures. But one thing we got to stress and remember, if you ever find a wild animal on the side of the road, you ever find an animal out in the field that's injured, crippled, needs assistance, don't touch it yourself. Call someone like Heather, one of the professionals, to handle it, because those things can be dangerous, and it is very, very illegal to handle those things unless you have the proper permits and licenses.
Yeah, it's not like they're tame at all, so.
Well, and they're all over, everywhere. Even our tip of the week we had this week, Rob, you know, showed you how to get closer to wildlife and what you need to identify the animals a little bit better. But we hope I learned something. That was a very, very neat experience.
Well, just to even see the size and proportion of how big those birds are, just the sheer might of those claws that they have, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, getting so close to an awesome creature like that, you know, makes me feel a little bit primal. I'm ready to head out into the field, throw the loincloth on, and
she does quite a service for us, no doubt. So then why don't we sort through some of this stuff and see what we really need and what we really don't need. But if you need any good gear, come on out here to Dick's and Niles, or Dick's and Boardman too. Are having a big sale, and things you just can't beat the deals.
Well, I've already got my Christmas gift picked out that I'll show you what I want you to buy me.
Great. All right,
so
I'll get right on that.
Stay tuned again next week, and until next week, go out and have yourself
a great outdoor experience. I see, boy, Denny, let's get out of here. All these hawks and owls are making me a little nervous.
Rob, watching Heather feed all those hawks now is really making me hungry.
Chicken hawk, and I eat chickens. And you're a big chicken.
Feed me on that.